Hello, everyone. Happy 2026. I'm still getting used to saying that. And welcome to our first show of the new year. As a reminder, Harry and I came together and brought Summit Up to this platform last year about this time because we wanted this to be a place for community convening, real and honest conversations, and a way for us to find the path forward together because we know that's how this gets done. And I'm just going to put it out there because this is a show about reflection. It is a show about finding hope for the future when you are feeling all the heaviness around you. And I'm going to ask for some grace for both of us as we're going to be pretty open and vulnerable, both things that are happening organizationally, but also personally. And I'm also going to open up this space for all of you to be sharing your thoughts in the comments as well. And my hope is that by the end of today's show, not only have we demonstrated that leadership is not just a practice or a talent or a job or a role, but it's lived. We're humans. And so we bring all of our pieces to us in our work each and every day. And that includes the difficult pieces and the sad pieces and the strong pieces and the hopeful and visionary pieces. And we hope we give you all of that today. And with that, I am joined by my favorite partner and co-host on the Summit Up show, Harry Hollins. Harry, it is so good to be back with you after we took a bit of a pause in the show at the end of the year.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to start the year. Also excited to reflect, and also looking forward to this discussion. It's an important one, and it's important also to get back in a flow.
It is important to get back in the flow. So today's show, Reflect, we're going to reflect. We're going to talk about how we rebuild and how we're rebuilding because it's a journey, and how we're rising and what we're looking for in the future. But I want to begin by asking you and everyone joining us today, please add to your comments. If you could think of a word or two, or maybe it requires 3 or 4, how would you, in your perspective, describe 2025? And kind of put, both personal and professional lens, because I don't think we can disconnect those two. Harry?
How do I describe 2025? I wish I had real sophisticated words, and I'm just going to say a lot. And I'll say why it's a lot. I know for me, it was a lot both personally and professionally, and the two overlap and continue to overlap, and they overlap a lot in life. But 2025 is, at least for me, was a challenge because not only was it a lot, it was hard to look at it through the view and the lens of a single year. For me, I kept thinking about what I describe as a half decade of chaos. If you think about COVID in 2020 to 2025, a 5-year period, a lot of chaos, a lot of challenges, a lot of things that we all had to deal with, and almost led to where we are now, which is, at least in my opinion, some sort of reckoning, and also a really hard pill to swallow around who we are as a country and a nation. Like, this is who we are. You can't really move around it. It is. And we kind of led here over a period of time. So it's always been, that's been a challenge for me thinking about as I reflect back. I think about it professionally, and I think about us as an organization. And I think we went through a lot, and we dealt with the pullbacks of everything, pullback of funding, pullback against DEI. Then we dealt with attacks in our community, both physical, legislative, legal, policy, all that happened, and it's continuing to happen. And then the funding pullback, and that hit us significantly. And we had one of our prior podcasts, as you said, we lost 60+% of our funding as a result of certain policy shifts. And that also led to a number of nonprofits that had to close. And unfortunately, as we talk about the future, there's going to be others that are not going to make it through this really tough time. and then you see the light on the other side, and we get our largest grant ever to roll out our Leap entrepreneurship on a national basis. We did launch Summit Up. And I know, Joelle, you're one of the architects behind it. It was a really simple idea of having a safe space for us to talk about issues that matter for our community. So what I'm glad and happy that we got to do that. I love doing that with you. And I also love that that's a space for our community. And we grew our social media presence significantly. We'll talk about that. And so that was kind of great on the professional side. Then on the personal side, I think it was just a challenge for all the reasons I talked about and everything that we went through. And I kept trying to look back and put things in perspective. And for me, it was always, and I'll share, and it's going to be a deep example, but I don't know any other way to put it, is I kept thinking about what our ancestors had been through for generations and for centuries. And for me, I went so far back to say, what am I supposed to do now? Like, what's my role in where we are now, where we're going? And for me, I have ancestors that were slaves. So they weren't full people legally. They were property. And I do believe there's going to be a day in life I'm going to have to look them in the eyes, and they're going to say, given everything that you're in and you're going through, what did you do? And I'm going to have to say I did something. And being silent is not a choice. Omission is not a choice. I'm going to have to look them in the eyes and say something. And that, I know that's a very deep example, but that is like my moral compass looking back and going forward. I keep asking myself, we have ancestors who have been through situations that we can't imagine, yet they endured and they fought. And here we sit. And so what is our role? And I know that's a lie. And that's how I kind of think about my personal and professional, and they overlap. And I have to ask you the very same thing. And I know, Joelle, I've worked with you now 6 years, and I know you're a fairly private person. And I know a lot of times you keep things close to the vest, but I also know it was a challenging year for you. And I want to hand this mic over to you. And if you would love to kind of hear kind of what you went through this year, because I think a lot of people in our community, this is going to be powerful and it's going to resonate with them.
Yeah, thank you. Before I talk, I really just want to elevate what you said, though, and just validate its importance and its timeliness, because we are in a moment, we are in a season, and it's not just about what we will say to our ancestors we did, it's also the recognition that we are tomorrow's ancestors. So what will the people who follow our course and our path and our leadership be saying about us? How will they write our stories? How will we have benefited them in some way? And to your point, silence and giving up and losing faith and hope is not the answer. It is not the option. And I think it is with that I am willing to kind of share just the significance of last year in a way that I probably otherwise wouldn't, because it is so real what we are all going through. And, 2025 for me was heartbreaking. And the heartbreak began with the confrontations that we found ourselves in, the realities that we found ourselves early in the year, where a lot of our work was being challenged. We were losing support. It felt as though not just our work, but really generations of work was under assault. And the pace of which those changes were taking place was, I mean, you couldn't catch your breath because it was happening so quickly. And, we're not just talking about words, DEI or policy or something like that. These are people's lives. They were jobs, they were efforts, they are implications, for future generations. And organizationally, the pace of which the change was impacting us was also so challenging for us to be the visionary leaders I think we like to be. Instead, we were just trying to survive and figuring out how we were going to do so. And we had to make so many tough decisions. And part of that heartbreak was losing really valuable staff that, hurt my heart to do, because they brought so much value to everything we were doing. And then being on the receiving end of the fear and concerns in the community, and our entrepreneurs facing uncertainty, and workforce reductions taking place. I mean, it was just a year where it just felt like you didn't know what you were going to be dealing with that day. And so the wear and tear on your mind and body was so significant, and the implications as a leader were unlike anything, even different than when we navigated COVID in many ways. And so it took everything out of me as a leader to keep the hope, to keep moving forward, to keep being visionary, to not give in when a lot of organizations and funders wanted us to even remove Latino from our name. It took a lot of guts, to be honest, to stand out there and stand up for what we believe in. And that takes its toll. And just when I thought that the year had sucker punched me as much as possible, I was reminded of just the fact that as a human being, we go through so much more in life than just what we deal with in our jobs. And in early November, I lost my brother unexpectedly in a tragic bicycle accident. And I am far from healing. I am still very much grieving and doing the best I can to take one step forward each and every day. But as you know, Harry, last year was also a gift in that my brother came in and he worked with us to rebuild the LLI website. It was his last and final project. We launched just a couple weeks before we lost him. And I really believe that it was a gift to me as a leader, a gift to all of us to be reminded about why we do this work. And when I approached my brother to do the website, my brother and his best friend Billy have done our website since we launched the organization. So they've seen and been along on this journey, these iterations of the organization. And when I reached out about this website in particular, my brother's question was, why? Why are you guys doing a new website right now? He knew our financial woes. He knew, because I would discuss with him the pressures that we were feeling to change everything about who we are and erase a lot of what we stand for. So he couldn't understand why I wanted to build a website that was vibrant in color, that almost looked like we were highlighting in so many ways what we stood for and who we serve, when it could open us up and to further attacks or loss of funding. And earlier this week, I was giving my first keynote, and in the slide deck, there has always been, since day one, a slide that says, from John Maxwell, know your why and you will find your way. I have to hold on to that now more than ever. But I think of all those conversations I had with my brother while we were building that website, one that put all of this together. And I really, truly believe that it is our roadmap, Harry. I was on the website earlier this morning preparing for today's show. When we talk about moving our community forward, when we share our vision for the potential of this community, when we talk about rising together, when we put out statements, and we built a whole merchandise. We didn't mention that we started a merch store, not because we want to sell products, but because we want to make a statement, unapologetically and unwaveringly so. I worked with my brother to help make sure that that merch site was front and center in that website. So that website is our North Star. It is our anchor. It is our why that'll help us find our way in each program, in each sentence, in each things we curated. So while I feel the heartbreak, I also carry the hope. As a leader, as a sister, as all of those things combined.
Well, I mean, I know everyone is listening. I know a lot of people have, probably have stories and things that they went through at the same time, and that's why I think it's so powerful. And thank you for sharing that. And I think we can all relate on one level. It was the second year since my mom passed away and didn't wake up, and so every December for me, it comes back around. And I think it goes to the root of what you said is everything is about setting you up for what the why is and what is your role going forward. And also everyone worked and you're standing on their shoulders to get there. And this is all process. And then we have the handoff of the baton. And that's how this has to work. And you don't have the option of sitting and not doing anything. And you have to set this up to hand off to the next person. And part of that handoff to the next person and to the community. And one thing I will say on that, though, because you sparked one thing for me on the why, is part of the also our why is those notes we get back from our community, the notes we get back from folks that have been through our programs that simply say thank you for creating a space for us. And I know Joelle feels the same way when I say this. Those little words, like, they just fill us up because it lets us know we're doing the right thing. When it's just a thank you for speaking the way that you speak, for being unapologetic, for talking about, you know, what our potential is, which is out of the roof, and for creating a safe space. And that's why we actually do the work and why we all do the work. And no one in this space does this work because we think we're going to make a lot of money and get rich. It's not. It's about,
definitely not.
It's about the network and it's about the community. And as we think about that, and we think about our role now, we think about passing the baton, I'm going to ask you, Joelle, what do you see ahead? What do you think about when you think about 2026 that we're in, and even thinking about the next couple years after that?
I do think it's a rebuilding year. I think you can't experience all of the things we did in 2025 without really focusing in on rebuilding. And I think some of that, a lot of that is internal. I mean, we have work to do to protect ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to heal. You know, we've got a long journey ahead. And externally, I think we need to rebuild as a community. I mean, this is our time, this is our moment. And you know, the actions we take and the decisions we make today are going to have an impact for generations to come. Of that, I have no doubt. And the last show you and I did last year, and I hope people, if you didn't watch it, go watch it. It's on our website, all of our past ones. But we interviewed the grandchildren of you know, Corky Gonzalez and Cesar Chavez, and we asked them, what did your grandparents fight for? What was it all about? And their response was self-determination. That we should be in a space where, you know, our hard work and our effort lead to success and lead to prosperity and lead to progress and advancement. We can't give up on that. This is our moment to make sure that we are building pathways of self-determination, you know, through a sense of agency. This is when we have to dig deeper. And I know that's hard because, trust me, we feel depleted. I'm there. I get it. But this is our rebuilding year. If 2025 tried to, you know, diminish what we did or take some pieces of it away, then we have to fortify it. We have to build a foundation. And the only way we could do that is through community and by platforms like this. And listen, we got to find a way to keep the work funded and moving. I mean, the challenges are so significant and they'll continue to do so. But I don't want to step over the fact that we had a huge win at the end of last year. I mean, our largest grant today from US Bank is going to allow us to take our entrepreneurship program from coast to coast. We're going to be able to help so many more entrepreneurs grow and scale to that $1 million mark. That's not insignificant. That's the start of really building wealth and creating new jobs and building a new economy within and for the Latino community. You know, I already had a keynote already this week. I didn't know that people would still hire me for keynotes in the face of all the changes, but that's still ongoing. And I plan to sell our merch because it's a statement. Latinos lead. We rise from our roots. I mean, these things matter. And if we can share that with community and people can buy in and believe that, then I have faith that they're going to be rebuilding alongside of us. I really, truly, honestly do. That is the faith and hope. And the final piece of next year is my brother was most excited about Cumbre. And we've talked about it, this AI platform that we want to create to amplify things like this, like sum it up and building community. And he thought it was hilarious that his least, like less than tech savvy sister would even try to build an AI technology platform because he was the tech guy. But he loved the idea. And so I really want to bring that to fruition this year. So I'm putting that out in the universe.
You gotta put it out there. And I know we're both kind of optimists, and we'll get in and we'll do the work. But I know we both can see that both in our vision, and that vision comes back to everything you said around it's the community and it's a network. That's the backbone behind all of it. And within that is access. And we've always focused on access. Yeah. How do we get access to our community, the tools, the resources, the thought leadership, the subject matter experts, the funding that they need? And not only is that important, and I also think it's part of the way that we talk and the mindset shifts that we need to continue to make as a community. The truth is we overperform and over deliver when we get access. Like, I mean, the numbers will show it, right?
So true.
Quantifiable, qualified, like it is really the truth. We survive on nothing because we're just resilient. We have so much talent and brilliance. But when we get access, we blow it out of the water. And we do a lot of it when we post and we talk and keynotes around the actual data behind it, but it's true. And I hope we continue and keep reminding both ourselves and our community of what we're capable of, not because it's words, because we actually have the data and the proof behind what we do when it's not fair, and then what we do when we get any level of equity here, what happens. So, I think that's really important. And I think that's kind of, another guiding light as we go into 2026 is keep providing access, keep using your voice, keep using your platform.
Completely, totally true. And I think that's what excites me so much about Leap is that's really the thesis behind what we're trying to do with our entrepreneurs. Yes, they're going to get amazing content, but it's really this idea of opening up access, and not just, to capital and money, because that's always ongoing. But I think sometimes we undervalue our own expertise, our own contributions, just how significant of a community we are, and what happens when we connect those dots. I mean, you and I have conversations offline. We get so excited when an entrepreneur connects with an expert that changes their business, or an entrepreneur gets to talk to another entrepreneur because they have shared ideas and challenges, or when we hear from an Ignite, graduate who, just heard from another Ignite graduate across the country, and they're, making connections and finding the path forward. There is no doubt in my mind that the challenges before us are so significant, internally, externally. Sometimes it does feel insurmountable. I am not going to lie. But if the thing that is so true that keeps me hopeful and faithful is the power of this community. It is the power of connections. For me, in my hardest moment and darkest moments in these last couple weeks and months, knowing I had my familia by my side, knowing I didn't have to do it alone, knowing that I could both grieve and heal in community was my strength. It really, truly was. And we just have to hold on to that for all of the challenges that we may face, because the opportunities are there if we are willing to work together to achieve them. I truly believe that in every fiber of my body, Harry, to your point. We've got to keep hammering that point home for people, because I can see it in the threads, and thank you everyone for sharing all of your stuff too. But I do believe in each of you and the power of us being together to change outcomes for the long term. Even if in the short term we're feeling like we're hitting resistance, it's okay. Like my cup says, rise, resist, repeat. That's not just a slogan. That's a promise. That's what we're going to do.
Absolutely. And to everyone, listening, everyone in our network, and you want to listen to this when it's recorded, this was about reflection, was also about, looking ahead and forging ahead, and also asking you to join us on this journey as we move forward and join us collectively this is always going to be a community effort, and we have a slew of summit ups that we will have planned, and we'll continue to tell the amazing stories in our community with individuals and professionals, and we'll also have a specific focus on entrepreneurs, whether it's business owners, whether it's advisors, whether it's mentors, whether it's people that provide funding. But we're going to continue to really focus and double down on that area as we expand our LEAP program nationally. And so if you know of any entrepreneurs anywhere in the U.S., because we're national now, and so we will do this across 4 regions in the U.S. this year. Please take a look both on our website and what we have on LinkedIn. We have information on that program. We'd love to have entrepreneurs signing up for that. Joelle will continue to be on the road as she is as a national leader with her keynotes, and they're going to be amazing because there's so much going on right now, and not only what we talked about, potential in the community and AI, the impact of AI and the changing the workforce. There's a lot happening, and she's definitely one of the national experts on that. So you'll see a lot of content and thought leadership continuing to come from us, but most importantly, we value you to actually be part of this journey with you. So thank you to you all. Joelle, I don't know if you have kind of a few closing words to add to this, but I think to button it up, we're ready. We're ready.
We know our why. I hope you all find your why, have your why, hold on to your why, and we will absolutely continue to find our way together. I think that's just the bottom line. And that's how I want to kick off this year, with a commitment and promise to you that we are going to hold true to that. We know our why, we will find our way. And with that, thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for your kind thoughts. It is very much appreciated. And we do look forward to holding this space with you for the rest of the year, talking about all of these important topics and just being in community. I wish you all a very good day. And until our next Summit Up show, please take care of yourself and those around you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Take care.